These are moving at about 35 miles per hour. So let me put a track on here and I will tell you what counties or what cities specifically really need to be on the lookout. Draw this line, push it southeast through, I will include Waukesha. So we've got Ixonia. This is moving into your area right now. Oconomowoc, maybe about 10 minutes. Delafield shortly after 11:50. Genesee about noon. Waukesha closer to about 12:10, likely a little bit before then if this maintains its current speed, which once again is about 35 miles per hour. Now, the latest from the National Weather Service, they're eyeing a potential tornadic debris signature just south of Watertown. So let me put up something called correlation coefficient. Let me look for it real quick in our system. And so this is a product that can show when debris is lofted in the air, and you know that alone is enough to issue a tornado warning. So south of Watertown, you know, it's kind of hard to see. Let me put it in motion and see if we can see anything more notable, maybe in previous runs. Hang with me for just a second here. We'll do the last 30 minutes and put it into motion. Maybe a little bit, we'll say near Ixonia and towards the northwest, meaning they initially saw it south of Watertown, but now it's off towards the east. And I'll circle it for you here. I believe this is what we're watching. It's very messy, but once again, this is something we call the correlation coefficient. It can pick up when a tornado can loft debris up into the sky. It's a very helpful product, but from the National Weather Service, this is why they issued a tornado warning for both parts of Jefferson as well as Waukesha County. So once again, not terribly notable, but the potential is obviously there for a tornado. So let me go back to our warnings. Where you're seeing these red boxes, those are the tornado warnings. So for parts of Waukesha as well as Jefferson County. Now it started with one warning and then the National Weather Service extended it towards the north. So we basically have a good chunk of eastern, northeastern, and we'll say east central parts of Jefferson County on into now western parts of Waukesha County. Not Waukesha, the city itself, but Oconomowoc included in this, and this will continue until 12:30. Let me put another track on there for you so you can see the cities that are included in these warnings. I'll zoom this out a little bit. And again, this is the southernmost line or southernmost edge of this line of some heavier pockets of rain. It looks like there's the potential for maybe a spin up, which sometimes happens at the southern edge of these stronger lines, but it's moving at about 35 miles per hour. I'll put a track on this full southern edge towards the end of that warning box. We'll push this out to about 50 minutes, and there you can see Oconomowoc closer to about 11:45, Delafield about 11:54, Pewaukee just after noon, the city of Waukesha 12:11. New Berlin is on there about 12:22. And again, the warning does still go until 12:30. So these cities and really all of Waukesha County should be alert that this storm, as it moves through, you know, could be producing these brief spin-ups. The latest from the National Weather Service, they are also keeping a close eye on part of the line in Dodge County. So they're essentially saying that this line has now strengthened enough to produce these brief spin-ups. Let me put this in motion for you here. So once again, 2 separate tornado warnings. The information is scrolling at the bottom of your screen as well, but we have one really just south of Watertown. We've got really northeastern parts of Jefferson County on into western parts of Waukesha County, and then a box just south of that. And that is for the southernmost edge of this stronger line of what was before producing very heavy rainfall as well as some gustier winds, but sometimes towards the southernmost edge of some of these stronger lines, we can get these quick spin-ups, and that's what the National Weather Service is watching. In fact, it looks like just east of Fort Atkinson, this area is perking up a little bit as well. If you are in eastern Jefferson County or western Waukesha County, we need to watch this line very closely. These are not going to be cells that you can see as you look out the window, because the rain is also going to be very, very heavy. So again, if you are eastern Jefferson County or all of western Waukesha County, even the entire county, know that this line is on its way and it is very capable of producing a quick spin-up tornado. Let me put another track on there for you for those just tuning in. I do want to put those counties, or those cities, excuse me, in the path of this line up here to give you a better idea of where this is moving. We'll do this full line. In fact, I'm going to add on what is just east of Fort Atkinson too, even though that's not in the warning. We're going to push this off towards the southeast. I'll throw in a little bit of Milwaukee County, even though obviously the warning doesn't go that far. So some newer counties for you here. Now, Whitewater, again, this is for that southernmost part. You're not technically under that tornado warning, but I wanted to add that line too. This will be moving in here shortly. Heartland, 11:55. Waukesha, about 12:10 to 12:11. Brookfield, about 12:16, and that's inching its way into parts of Milwaukee County. We'll see if this maintains its strength as it continues to push off towards the east. Let me put our velocity scan up real quick. This clearly has some strong wind at the very least, where you see these bright colors showing up across especially northern Jefferson County. That is where we have some very strong wind, once again, at the very least. But what prompted the National Weather Service to issue this warning was a potential debris signature on one of our products called a correlation coefficient. So this is what it looks like. This is what we look at to see if there are any debris flying in the sky. That is essentially what this product is going to help us see. So putting this into motion, we'll do the last 30 minutes. It looks like, in fact, I'll pause it. This was just after 11. This is the reason here why the National Weather Service issued this warning. This right here, that is what we call a debris signature. So that is the reason why we have that tornado warning for northern Jefferson County, as well as a little farther south into parts of Waukesha County. So it has weakened. As I put this into motion again, you'll notice as this continues to move eastward, it weakens a little bit, but that was the reason why the National Weather Service issued that tornado warning. I'll put this in motion again, just so you can see how it does look like it is weakened a little bit. But you know what? These lines can be tricky. As we know, and we've seen here before in southeast Wisconsin, these lines can produce quick spin-up tornadoes, and that is a concern for the National Weather Service right now. So to go over the latest once again, we have 2 tornado warnings. Let's see the latest from the National Weather Service. Main areas of concern right now, just north of Sullivan, as well as Oconomowoc. So once again, these 2 red boxes are the latest tornado warnings, both of which go until 12:30. So you have eastern Jefferson County into just about all of western Waukesha County. Latest area of concern, once again from the National Weather Service, going to be around Oconomowoc, as well as just north of Sullivan, which is in Jefferson County, and also Just a heads up, the weekly test of tornado sirens will obviously not be happening anymore because of this severe weather. Now, they did just issue also severe thunderstorm warnings. Let me take radar off of this so that you can get a better idea of who's included in that. That is for Sheboygan, as well as Washington and all of Ozaukee County, with the caveat of a tornado still being possible. So it is clear that these quick spin-ups are still going to be a possibility as this strong line makes its way through. In addition to that possibility, 60-mile-per-hour wind, as well as some large hail, potentially up to about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Now let me put radar back up here, and let's go through this. So we have a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings in orange, and still those 2 tornado warnings for eastern Jefferson County and western Waukesha County until 12:30. The severe thunderstorm warnings also go until 12:30. It is the southern part of this line that is strengthened the most, specifically around the Oconomowoc area within these 2 tornado warnings. Earlier, just after about 11, closer to about 11:10, one of the products that we look at for tornado potential, it's called correlation coefficient. And that's what shows us if there is a debris signature, which tells us that there is enough rotation and wind to pick up debris and push it into the air. It shows that debris on that product, and the National Weather Service saw a debris signature just south of Watertown as this line moved through. Now, these lines, once again, they are tricky. They can be just strong enough to produce just really quick spin-up tornadoes where they lift, they drop again, they lift again. So take this line seriously as it moves through, especially, once again, if you are parts in now western Waukesha County and really all of Waukesha County, but towards the north here, Sheboygan through westbound, down into parts of southwestern Washington County. Even though you are in a severe thunderstorm warning and not a tornado warning right now, a tornado is still possible. So be on the lookout. Make sure you have your weather radio on. You're getting alerts from your Storm Center app through the next 40 minutes. It's right around 11:43 right now. All of these warnings go until 12:30. Let me step off screen again, and I do want to put yet another track on this. I'm going to start with the tornado warnings, and then I am going to go into those severe thunderstorm warnings so those northern counties have an idea of when this is moving into. But specifically, I do want to go into these tornado warnings first. Let me check the speed to make sure nothing has changed here. They're still moving southeast at about 35 miles per hour. And the latest from the National Weather Service, they are eyeing Okauchee Lake right now. So you know what? I'm going to put up that product again, like I was just talking about, to look at debris signatures, to get a closer look. Again, these are going to be these just quick spin-ups, fairly weak tornadoes, but still something to take seriously all up and down this line. Nothing, again, terribly notable at the moment, but this is something that we'll be watching very closely. Let me go back to radar, and I do want to put, once again, that track on with the latest timing. So these are moving southeast at about 35 miles per hour. We're going to start with the area under the tornado warning. Push this southeast, we'll go about 40 minutes. Delafield, 11:52. Heartland, 11:54. Waukesha now about 12:08, still nearing that 12:10 area. That's not too long from now. So right now, get in your safe spot. Even though you're not technically included in the warning just yet, this is still moving in your direction. We've got Brookfield about 12:15. Wauwatosa closer to about 12:20 to 12:23. So this will continue to move southeast into eventually parts of Milwaukee County, and that warning we'll see if it's extended. But at the moment, again, it does include western parts of Waukesha County. Let me take that track off of the screen, and now I do want to put a track on the northernmost part of our viewing area under the severe thunderstorm warning. These are once again pushing towards about the east-southeast here. So we've got Sheboygan Falls about 11:53, Sheboygan about noon, Menominee Falls 12:07, Mequon closer to 12:15, Whitefish Bay just before 12:30. It looks like we have a new tornado warning. So let me take this off screen, zoom this out a little bit. Okay, so they have now extended this south. Once again, we always need to watch the southernmost part of these lines because they are often the strongest. So this tornado warning is for Jefferson, Rock, Walworth, as well as far southwestern parts of Waukesha County, and that goes until 12:15. The National Weather Service eyeing areas southwest of Palmyra and southeast of Whitewater. We still have those two other tornado warnings for western Waukesha County. You can see those 3 tornado warnings now, those red boxes, as well as the severe thunderstorm warnings up towards the north. Let me put this in motion and zoom in a little bit more. So we've got Lake Geneva included in this new warning. We've got Elkhorn included in this new warning. Spring Prairie included in this new warning. As I zoom in just a little bit more, places like LaGrange as well as Sugar Creek, East Troy, Mukwonago, not quite, but you are awfully, awfully close. So basically a good chunk of Walworth County in this new tornado warning, as well as southeast parts of Jefferson and far southwest parts of Waukesha County. So clearly this line still has the potential of producing these quick, brief spin-up product where we look at debris signatures. And just kind of looking around here, it's just very messy. But once again, this was the reason earlier why that first tornado warning was issued for a debris signature just south of Watertown earlier today, just after about 11. But regardless, this is a product that we look at to look for potential debris from a tornado. So we're going to keep watching that. Here are our active watches and warnings, and I'm joined by meteorologist Rob Haswell, right by my side too. This line really strengthened very quickly, and I've been mentioning that the southernmost parts of these lines are the ones we really have to watch, which is why we have those 3 tornado warnings towards the south here. But even those towards the north under the severe thunderstorm warning need to be aware that a tornado will still be a possibility.
Right. It's a very strong line of storms that has fired up. And, a lot of times we think about this being more of a spring event, but we're in a very similar situation here, even though this is the fall. I want to thank Stephanie for doing an amazing job, and just here to support us. Of course, we always go to team coverage when we get to these kind of situations. And you were talking about that debris tracker. That is key, particularly when it comes to the National Weather Service and whether they're able to issue these warnings in a timely fashion. Right. And as I say that, another warning goes off. So why don't you bring folks up to speed and continue the amazing coverage you've been doing while I go grab what just came across our weather line here, essentially.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so these are severe thunderstorm warnings. They have been extended into the rest of Waukesha County, as well as now Milwaukee County. So a heads up to all of Waukesha, as well as Milwaukee County. And you know what, let me take the radar off of this so you have a better idea of all of these warnings. Yeah. So this latest one goes until 12:45. Rob.
Right, yeah, we've just got that off the old school weather wire here, so to speak, and as Steph is pointing out, of course, we've got in a huge area here under the severe thunderstorm warning, which has been issued now for Milwaukee County and southeastern Wisconsin, of course, Waukesha County. This one goes to 12:45, as meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello was pointing out. And some of the hazards with this, Stephanie, they're pointing out from the National Weather Service, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with this, and this is all radar indicated, but with that debris tracker, it's an incredible method to really see what's happening, because it is literally tracking some of that potential debris up into the radar scope here. And that gives us an idea of what this might be doing, whether or not this is actually rotating winds in the tornadic fashion, or whether these are strong straight line winds. A 60-mile-per-hour sustained straight or gusting wind straight line does very significant damage, and that's why we're seeing such a lot on this debris tracker. Steph is, of course, highlighting that there. What was the first thing you saw when this started started to pop up. But you were here, of course, the moment it fired up this morning, or I guess late this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So just after about 11, in fact, I'll loop this for you here. Let's do the last 45 minutes, and I'll zoom this out. What prompted, just to give you guys an idea of this product, what actually prompted that first tornado warning to be issued was just a little debris signature right there, just south of Watertown. And that prompted that first warning. And then it kind of pushed off towards the northeast and then weakened a little bit. But that just sparked the concern going forward of these really quick, brief spin-ups. And now the latest area that we're watching is just south of Whitewater. And this one, you can actually clear. In fact, you know what the latest from the National Weather Service? There is a tornado on the ground near Merton. And I don't think we have any cameras around that area, but Merton and surrounding areas need to be in your safe spot, as there is a confirmed tornado on the ground from the National Weather Service.
So very important, as meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello was pointing out. We now have a confirmed tornado on the ground. We continue to get updates every few minutes here, and we'll, of course, bring them to you as they come in to us. But if you are in that area, in Merton, you need to take immediate shelter. All right, we don't take this very lightly. This is something we don't say casually. If you are in that area, look at the velocity and the wind speeds that we are picking up on the radar here. Stephanie will, what we call query a couple of these just to get some actual readings. But if you were in that Merton area with a confirmed tornado on the ground, you need to immediately go to your tornado shelter. If you don't know what that is, it is the lowest level of the interior of the house away from outside windows. You need to make sure that you are getting there right now. If you have friends or family in that area, communicate to them that this is an urgent situation and they need to take care immediately. Stephanie, we're looking at the velocity and wind speeds here. Now, we talked from the National Weather Service about the potential hazard of 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. What are we seeing on this sweep?
Exactly that. And you know what? I just want to give you the latest also from the National Weather Service, just some specifics here. Highway 16 and 83 reports of debris falling on cars, tree debris to be more specific. It was relayed from the Waukesha County Dispatch. So once again, tornado on the ground near Merton. Merton is just west of Sussex. It is, north of Heartland.
Correct.
So, once again, the Merton area, and I'll zoom this out a little bit more.
So there's this line that Steph's, keyed in on here with the velocity and the wind speed tracker showing that potential, and it's also showing some of that rotation with this as well. So we're going to keep watching for this. The debris tracker also something that is a fantastic tool for looking at this, as Stephanie was just pointing out, some of this debris falling on actual vehicles on the highway. And I just got the latest printout here from the National Weather Service as well, talking about flying debris in that area. Of course, dangerous to anybody caught without shelter. So this is your chance. This is the moment that you have to find that storm shelter, get into the interior of your home and away from outside windows, and make sure you, your kids, and your pets are safe from that. This tornado warning will go until 12:15 for Waukesha County, and of course one for North Central County as well. We do have a confirmed as well as a radar indicated tornado with this, so this is something to take very, very seriously. And we're starting to get some storm reports in here too, Stephanie, just here from the National Weather Service via social media in the Hartford area, which is in Washington County, of an east wind gust at about 60 miles per hour. So again, whether it's straight line or rotating within a tornado, this is something that can be very, very damaging indeed.
Right, absolutely. In fact, I want to put radar up real quick and show you guys the latest when it comes to those warnings. So obviously all of Waukesha County now added into that tornado warning, whereas before it was that severe thunderstorm warning. With the fact that there is still that confirmed tornado on the ground near Merton, the entire county has been included in that. Let me put Merton on there, and I do want to put a tracker on here for you. Let's see, moving at about 45 miles per hour. In fact, you know what? Radar or velocity might actually be easier, but we'll just go with this for now. Moving towards the southeast, let's put it out about 25 minutes. That would be Pewaukee just after noon. We've got Brookfield kind of towards the end, but Marcy, Duplainville. So again, if you are especially in north central or northeastern parts of Waukesha County, there is a confirmed tornado on the ground near Merton, and this will continue to track off towards the east-southeast. Again, this warning still has a while to go. Rob's putting that new track on there for you. Once again, very similar cities. We've got Elm Grove added closer to about 12-17. But this entire line still extending towards the south into parts of Walworth County under a tornado warning. I know there's that confirmed warning right now in Merton, or confirmed tornado on the ground in Merton, but those southernmost communities still need to treat this seriously, because even places like Lake Geneva and the majority of Walworth County under a tornado warning, as this entire line is capable of these brief spin-up tornadoes. And obviously we see one on the ground right now near the Merton area, and still very strong wind along this line as well, even towards the north. Remember, those severe thunderstorm warnings extend up towards the north, where tornadoes will still be possible. 60-mile-per-hour wind, as well as hail potentially up to 3/4 of an inch. So this line has really strengthened in the past hour or so. That first warning was issued just after about 11:15. So as this line moved in, it did strengthen enough to potentially produce these smaller but still notable quick spin-up tornadoes. Now, this is our velocity scan. This is what we look at to see if winds are rotating. When the red and the green meet, that usually means that there is spin, there is rotation in the atmosphere. But at the very least, we are seeing, especially some of these yellows and some of these brighter reds, that is also indicating where non-tornadic wind speeds are still very strong, which is why everybody, once again, is still included with the either severe thunderstorm warnings as well as these tornado warnings. So get in your safe space and stay there until these storms, until this line blows through. You can see especially strong winds in southwestern, or really parts of Waukesha County here.
Right,
These
we're
will
seeing this
continue
ping right here.
Right, exactly. Where you see that bright of a color showing up on velocity, that is likely indicating at least 50 to 60 mile per hour wind speeds, which is exactly what you're seeing right there. 55 mile per hour wind gusts there, closer to about 57, just off towards the west.
Right. That's right around County Road E, just kind of south and east of 59. So again, that is going to be a very hazardous place. If you happen to be caught out there in the middle of this storm in your vehicle, that is going to be very difficult to navigate. So avoid that area if you're driving toward that. And again, as Stephanie was pointing out, this is the moment to take shelter. If you are anywhere in the vicinity of these tornado warnings, or even inside some of these severe thunderstorm warning areas, which covers a huge portion of our map, Stephanie.
Exactly. Sheboygan, Ozaki, and parts of, well, really just about the entire Washington County under a severe thunderstorm warning. But within that warning, if you were to read it in text form, you would see that there is wording for a possible tornado. So you do still need to take precautions for the possibility of a tornado. The red boxes, which include just about all of Waukesha County, still east central and southeast parts of Jefferson County, southward into parts of Walworth County, those are the tornado warnings, all going to either 12:30 or about 12:45, and that goes for, once again, those severe thunderstorm warnings.
Just getting something in from the National Weather Service as well, our partners over there, from Tim, who is the lead over there. He is saying two potential touchdowns right now, one near North Prairie, the other by Eagle. Eagle, of course, not too long ago experienced a similar situation. I mean, I guess it is getting to be quite a few years ago
So
now.
still
but
really eyeing
but there's
Waukesha.
Eagle right there.
Right.
And so that's a big concern. Worst part of the line now would be that southern Waukesha County area.
Right here.
Mukwonago, Big Bend, though, kind of right up next. Look at that pocket right there, Stephanie, on the wind speed map
This
here.
is very
Look at
strong
that.
wind. And now
incredible.
clearly some rotation, as we are hearing from the National Weather Service, of potentially 2 more touchdowns or 2 more areas of concern. So really eyeing, again, I would say western, southwest, and west central parts of Waukesha County, but still watching that Merton area very closely too. And just know, I mean, the city of Waukesha, you need to be in your safe spot right now, as well as eastern parts of Waukesha County. You need to be in your safe spot because this is the line that is moving in. That warning does include all of Waukesha County. And here's the radar image of this line right now. I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but again, these are just strong enough to produce some of these weak but still, again, notable tornadoes across parts of Waukesha County and earlier potentially south of the Watertown area. But in addition to the potential for tornadoes, number one, you're going to be seeing very heavy rainfall. So this is not an event where you want to look out your window, wait to see if you can see anything, and then get down into your basement. These are going to happen really quickly. We're not kidding when we say these are quick spin up tornadoes.
Well, look
they
how
may
quickly
be up,
it
they may be
moves.
down.
That's just a 1 hour time lapse
Right.
of that line, and it goes from the northwest corner of Dodge County to central Waukesha County in 1 hour.
Right,
That's
exactly.
moving very quickly. So now the storm tracker I put on that line, Steph, stretches out to the south and east, and it gives it a good idea of how wide this coverage area is from Sheboygan essentially down to the far southwest corner of Walworth County.
Right, exactly. I mean, this line started just after about 11, so you can already tell how fast it's moved through these areas. But let's go through some of these counties. We've got Waukesha in there, closer to about 12, 10, maybe just before then, which has been very consistent with all of the other storm tracks we've been putting on there. Lake Geneva towards the south a little bit more, about 12, 18. Milwaukee pushing out a little bit further, closer to about 12:30. Oak Creek is on there, as well as Kenosha. You've still got a little bit of time, but once again, even if you're not included in a warning right now, you do need to take this line very seriously because at the moment, it's also not really showing any signs of weakening. But this line will once again continue to move off towards the east-southeast.
And one little correction on what I said earlier with a little miscommunication via the National Weather Service online chat. It was indicating what I thought was indicating touchdowns. Tornado debris signature is what I misread that to be. So either way, a tornado debris signature is a very good indicator of an active tornado. So either way, we're looking at two of those now radar indicated with that tornado debris signature. And if you keep hearing that binging in the background and you're wondering what's going on, it's because this is a very active situation. And pretty much every time I hit the refresh button, we're going to get some new information from the National Weather Service and, of course, from you, our viewers. And this just came across the wire here, talking about, again, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. They're expecting damage to roofs, to siding, and to trees. Some huge areas impacted by this, of course. This line will continue to move through places like Waukesha and Mukwonago, highly populated areas. Eagle, of course, and again, it wasn't that many years ago that Eagle experienced a very similar situation. So we'll continue to track this, and as long as we have these tornado warnings up and running, we will stay live with you on the air. We will not stop this coverage until everybody is in the clear and safe. This line is going to take some time to dissipate, but you saw how quickly it is moving. So this will be moving its way into the areas farther south and east rather rapidly as well. And so far, it does look to still have quite a lot of potential as it makes that move farther south and east. Stephanie is recentering up the map here. And again, you see this amazing radar return right there, just kind of northwest of Spring Prairie. It's just kind of pulled through LaGrange. And this is the pocket. Elkhorn, you're up next. If you're in Elkhorn, this is your chance. Take shelter, find that interior room in the lowest level of your home, in away from windows. Take care of yourselves. Make sure that you take care of your family and your pets and everybody else in your lives as well. That right there, Stephanie, is really kind of the focus at the moment.
Absolutely. We are still really watching southern Waukesha County and now the Elkhorn area specifically from our meteorologists at the National Weather Service. So I want to put, once again, let's do velocity first.
So and again, there's that red meeting green, right, Stephanie?
Right, absolutely. So again, watching Elkhorn, Mukwonago, at the very least, you're about to get some very strong winds.
Right,
but
huge
pushing
here.
again, Rob, pushing this up into southern and southwestern parts of Waukesha County, to be specific.
Right, and this is where, again, the National Weather Service was communicating to us, and many times communicating to us some of the things that you were communicating via social media, that this is the area that is seeing some of these incredible wind gusts right now, whether they be straight line or tornado related. You can see, as Stephanie was pointing out earlier, these bright yellows here, that's in that 50 to 60 mile per hour range. And when you get a 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gust, that is capable of doing significant damage, as we were talking about earlier, roofing, siding, things like that. And of course, taking down significant sized trees. Right now, the trees still have the vast majority of their leaves on. And when that's the case, of course, there's quite a bit more wind resistance. If all the leaves were down and we were talking about bare trees right now, we may see that somewhat minimized for tree damage. But with them mostly in our area still at least 75% leaf coverage, that's going to provide that extra wind resistance that may take down some larger trees, take down some larger limbs, and of course, if that falls in your house, your car, or heaven forbid, someone you love, then that's going to be problematic, obviously. And Stephanie, this cover, I can't get over the coverage area of the intensity of this. Again,
Right.
if you go out on the line, it goes all the way up to Sheboygan and then all the way down to the southwest corner of Walworth, southeast corner of Rock County. And this is a massive area, not only geographically, but also encompassing quite a few people, because these are larger cities. Sheboygan, you've got a Pro-Washington area, Mequon, down through Waukesha, and getting all the way down just kind of the west of Lake Geneva. So we'll be watching that very closely. And Stephanie, you can probably, the amount of time that you and I have both spent kind of trying to ride through storms to get into work, you can probably comment on this. Things like 41, 43 right now across Walworth County, where that strong line is coming, trying to drive in that is incredibly challenging.
Right, and you know what? It's your lunch hour. If you haven't left and we're planning to, and you are in parts of Waukesha or Walworth, or even soon to be Ozaukee County, who is now about to be put under a new tornado warning, don't go. Stay for now. I'm just kind of waiting for this new tornado warning to come out from the National Weather Service. Ozaukee County, you are now added in this tornado warning. There we go. You can hear the beeps
And
there.
there's that ping going off.
So let me put the warning box on so you get a better idea of warnings. This is for far southern Ozaukee County.
So one of the more populated portions of that county, you're talking about the bigger
Absolutely.
centers like Mequon, Grafton, Cedarburg.
In fact, Mequon, kind of a heads up here, moving east at about 45 miles per hour. The storms are absolutely capable of producing a tornado. So at the moment, we're eyeing, again, southern Ozaukee County, still really watching southern Waukesha County, as well as the Elkhorn area too. In fact, earlier reports indicating that there is a bit of damage right now in North Prairie, and so that's the area that's going to be moving here shortly into parts of central and south central Waukesha County. New severe thunderstorm warning for Kenosha, Racine, and the rest of Walworth until 1:15. So once again, just taking radar off here so you get a better idea of all of the warnings that are in place. They still extend from Sheboygan to Walworth as well as Kenosha County. Those in the severe thunderstorm warnings, Rob, need to know that tornadoes are still a possibility.
Tornadoes are still a possibility with this, and even if we don't see a tornado warning in your area, you will want to take these straight line winds very seriously, because they can cause similar damage, sometimes even more excessive damage, depending on whether or not we see something like a downburst or a microburst. But either way, whether you're in the tornado warning or the severe thunderstorm warning, I want you to take cover. I want you to find a safe space right now. I want you to communicate to your family as soon as you get to your safe space that they should do the same. As Stephanie was pointing out, this is indeed the lunch hour for a lot of folks. And, if you've been involved in your work and you maybe haven't gotten a chance to get the push alerts through our Storm Center app, you might be thinking, I'm going to head out and grab a bite to eat. Now is not the time. Wait, give this another hour or so and things should settle down. And we will be with you through that entire stretch. I've been here 17 years, Stephanie. I don't know that we've ever seen the geographic coverage that we're seeing right now with this kind of extensive tornado warning and watches. This covers, if you go back to the warning map, if you can there, it covers a huge part of our viewing area, whether it's, Sheboygan, southeast corner, all the way down to Racine and Kenosha. But look at all the coverage here for the tornado warnings themselves. This is almost all of Waukesha County right now, a good portion of southern Ozaukee County, and a good chunk, a good quarter center of Walworth County is currently under a tornado warning, and it certainly hasn't been very common in our area to see that kind of geographic coverage for a tornado warning. So this is a very serious situation, and as I speak,
right.
getting more information
Yep,
in.
new warning, tornado warning for Milwaukee County. This line clearly is not showing any signs of weakening.
All right.
Oh, and I apologize, that is my emergency alert on my phone.
But that's good. I hope you're hearing a similar emergency alert on your phone. I hope you have what it takes to stay safe on your personal
All right,
items.
Waukesha, heads up, there is a tornado debris signature just west of the city.
Okay, so there you go,
So that is
Waukesha
your
right there.
alert to get in your safe spot.
Right, so this is the debris tracker that Stephanie was bringing up earlier, and it's what we've been talking about with these tornado debris signatures. So the signature essentially is just the mark, the signature that it makes on the radar. And this is exactly what we're looking at here. And this, of course, goes right across several major highways, as well as, of course, huge, very heavily populated portions of our viewing area, Waukesha. If you are listening to us right now, take cover. We want you to go to your safe space. Stephanie, I'm going to get that new update there. If you can bring
Yes.
folks up to speed on what that means, that'd be great.
Right, absolutely. So the latest from the National Weather Service, and I believe this is kind of what we're looking at right here, east side of Waukesha, tornado debris signature. And so this is a tool that we look at to, number one, is see if a tornado is potentially producing damage. Tornado wind, as we know, can loft debris up in the air, and this is a product that can look at that and give us an idea of if a tornado is on the ground. And that is what we have been watching with this line pretty much for the past hour. And so right now we are looking at the east side of Waukesha, or maybe just east of the city itself,
Gets that
for that potential.
And I just got another update in from the National Weather Service. This is actually down in Walworth County, and this is an observed rotation and condensation funnel that's actually in contact with the ground, and that is just south of Highway 12 and Highway 59. That's near Whitewater in Walworth. So if you are in that area or anywhere east or southeast of that area, again, you want to take cover. If you have friends or family in that area, make sure they are aware. Reach out to them, send them a quick text. Make sure they are finding their safe space in that interior room away from windows, because this again is now observed meaning by the human eye, rotation and a funnel that is in contact with the ground, again, just south of 12 and 59. So they were looking at that stretch of 43, and we're talking about how incredibly challenging it would be to be driving on that right now. But for certainly anyone in this area, you are likely seeing incredibly strong wind gusts right now, and will likely be observing some significant damage, if not at the moment, certainly in very short order. Look at this stretch here. Look at this, going right down through Waukesha, all the way across Walworth County. And this is an intense line right there that has, as Steph was just pointing out, shown no sign of weakening. In fact, Stephanie, if anything, this has held its own and somewhat strengthened.
It absolutely has, especially with the fact that we are still seeing debris signatures in different areas. But again, watching very closely Waukesha as well as Walworth County. It looks like we have a couple new warnings. Tornado on the ground in Burlington. That is the latest. Folks, this is clearly a very powerful line. If you are in Waukesha, Milwaukee, Walworth, Racine, or Kenosha County, right now, you need to get in your safe spot. Latest from the National Weather Service is that there is a tornado on the ground in Burlington. So that new tornado warning as well extended into Kenosha as well as Racine counties, whereas before you guys were under that severe thunderstorm warning, so now you are included in that. I want to put velocity up, and let's look to see if we have any specific areas.
Right. Obviously, we're seeing quite a bit in the way of significant wind speed with this. Again, anything in that yellow, bright yellow, is easily in the 55, 65 mile per hour range, and that stretches right along that highway, essentially. And yet, obviously, if you're in your home, I want you to take care. I want you to find that lowest level, get away from windows. If you are out on the roadways, perhaps, you're finding this out because of the push alerts and you're now maybe perhaps tuning in, or if you have friends or family that are out driving, make sure they know to get off the road. Find the nearest substantial structure, whether that's a gas station or a way station, whatever it might be, to get out of this. You don't want to try to ride this out or run away from this. It's something you need to actually take shelter for immediately if you're in a vehicle or if you're outside. Find the nearest substantial structure and take cover immediately in those areas. All right, so Stephanie's brought up the velocity and wind speed map yet again. And you know what? I'm just going to actually kind of tag out and let her take over at the green screen here. Partly to give my voice a break and also to get the latest ping that just went off.
I'll grab the paper and we'll go from there. Oh, when it prints out. I just wanted to zoom this in a little bit more just to go over a few cities first and foremost. New Berlin, we need to remember that area of rotation was just off towards the west of you a short time ago. So New Berlin and areas towards the east need to be aware that that strong part of this line is moving in as we speak. Once again, nothing terribly evident on our velocity scans, but there is still rotation within this line in parts of Waukesha, Walworth, and now Racine, western Racine County. As we know, there was that confirmed tornado on the ground in Burlington or near the Burlington area. So number one, we could potentially have numerous tornadoes on the ground right now. They will be quick. You will not see them. It is pouring in and around this line, even in the spots that are not included in tornado warnings right now. Maybe you're included in a severe thunderstorm warning. Tornadoes are still a possibility within this entire line. So even towards the north, you need to get to your safe spot, especially if you're in that tornado warning. But like I just mentioned, even if you're in the severe thunderstorm warnings, I would be in your safe spot anyway. Your basement is going to be the best spot in your home. If you don't have a basement, the innermost part of your home is going to be the best. Sometimes the bathroom is still not the best if there is a window in there in your main level. So if you have a hallway that's a little more enclosed, a closet that's a little more enclosed, that would be better than a bathroom with a window. So still, you want to be in the innermost part of your home, no windows, put lots of walls surrounding you. But if you have a basement, that is going to be the best spot to be when a tornado is threatening your home or threatening your area. So don't waste any more time. Get to your safe spot right now. We have a lot of tornado warnings. We've been talking for at least the past hour, and there have been numerous touchdowns in parts of Waukesha as well as Walworth County. And this line is now nearing parts of Milwaukee County. Not quite here yet, but on its way. So southern Ozaukee County, Milwaukee County, all of Racine and Kenosha County now included in tornado warnings. And we are taking this very seriously because, as I just mentioned, we have had numerous touchdowns in counties just off towards the west, Walworth specifically, into parts of Waukesha as well.
So just getting in from Tim over the National Weather Service there, saying there's maybe still some rotation happening in far southern Ozaukee County.
Okay.
So they're going to keep the tornado warning going for those areas. So if you are listening to us or following this, you need to continue to remain in your shelter. Even as things seem to be calming down in southern Ozaukee County, you want to give yourself the ability to, of course, be safe until the all clear. So don't judge this for yourself. Let the experts tell you when things will be safe. They will drop the warning when they feel that is true. Now, Steph, they were also saying there are some tornado debris signatures near Butler,
Okay.
which is in kind of right on the county line there, Waukesha and Milwaukee County line.
Right as this line is moving in.
Right,
Yep.
exactly. And another one in New Berlin.
Okay, New Berlin, which once again is that same concentrated spot in parts of east central and southeast parts of Waukesha County. In fact, I'm looking out on our weather deck and it's starting to look a little messy near us as well, as that
Very
line is
dark.
getting close to northern Milwaukee County as well. But again, southern Ozaukee County, I know your box is pretty small on our map, but you are also included in a tornado warning right now. So places like Mequon, get to your safe space. And once again, that warning extends through Milwaukee as well as Racine and Kenosha County. You can still see those high wind signatures showing up on our velocity scan, especially now moving into northwestern parts of Racine County and still covering covering a good chunk of southern parts of Waukesha County. We are seeing some of these yellows. That is indicating wind gusts likely exceeding 50 miles per hour. In fact, this one about 55 miles per hour. So at the very least, as this line rolls through, you are going to be dealing with very strong gusty wind. And even parts of Milwaukee County, again, parts of Ozaukee County, you're still going to see that strong wind, but we're also eyeing that potential for these spin-up tornadoes as this line makes its way off towards the east. We've been watching this as it started in our far western communities. It started just after 11 with a tornado debris signature south of Watertown, and then it just continued to push eastward, still producing these tornado debris signatures, which we look at as meteorologists as a sign that there is a tornado on the ground, lofting debris up in the air. That is a product that we can look at for that information. So here's a zoomed in view. You can see Butler here, Brookfield towards the south. Again, these are the areas that we are still watching for that potential rotation as this quick moving line of storms makes its way towards the east. Now behind this line, you're also still going to be dealing with a soaking rainfall. It's not going to be a quick line moving through and then you're done. You're still going to see some rain after this is gone. But you can now see the strongest part of this line extending from southern parts of Ozaukee County into extreme northwest Milwaukee County, eastern Waukesha, and then down still through the Lake Geneva area. I know it's your lunch hour. Maybe you're thinking about heading out for lunch. If you are in these lakeshore communities or certainly any county under tornado warning, stay put. Stay in your safe place. I know I just recently saw on social media, we have coworkers here whose kids are sheltering at school right now. I'm sure many are doing the same thing. Hopefully in your workplace, you have that tornado plan and know where to shelter. If you don't, now's a good opportunity to go over that or make a plan, certainly after the event too. But once again, still eyeing parts of eastern Waukesha County. And Rob, let's zoom in on northern Milwaukee County because this really is inching closer to the area.
Right. And as we do that, I got a couple things coming in here again. National Weather Service reporting getting damage reports out by Whitewater. We talked about that earlier. Some security camera footage may have caught some of this as well, so it'll be interesting to follow up on that a little later on and see what is actually going on. But now, as Stephanie's pointing out, look at northern Milwaukee County, just right on the county line there.
Right. In fact, I wonder, directors, producers, anyone's back there, if you have access to our brown deer camera, let me know if you see anything or any of our Milwaukee cams. I know it's still off towards the west. Working on it. Awesome. Thank you guys. If you see anything, just put it up on the screen or any of our DOT cams. Any news from southern Ozaukee County? It looks like that might be making its way.
Looks like it's improving, but the last I heard, they were talking about it still showing the potential, so they're going to leave the warning in place. In fact, just now, they have continued the tornado warning. They have observed hail now in the Milwaukee area of 3/4 inch hail.
Okay, and that's probably another factor we haven't really been focusing on, but in addition to the possibility of tornadoes, at least 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be a possibility with this line as it moves through, and hail up to about 3/4 of an inch. All right, this is our Milwaukee camera, our city center camera. Looks like maybe a shelf cloud off towards the west as this storm really is knocking on our doorstep here. Here's another camera zoomed in, again, on what I believe is that shelf cloud as the line makes its way on through. Another view. So it's moving in Milwaukee Metro, and all of Milwaukee County will be impacted by this line. And I know we always say it weakens, or we don't always say, but we hear it weakens as it gets to the lake. That is not always what happens. Right. This line is not showing signs of weakening.
Common weather myth, because of course, people think that the lake is going to provide that cooling effect to undercut the potential of the storm. Obviously, on a day like today, where it's not exactly that sweltering heat of the summer or that huge, change up of seasons of the spring, it's a great example of how, it doesn't necessarily require that to continue to be a strong storm. Steph, is there a brown deer camera that we control here on the station?
And I believe this is pointing off towards the west. So certainly some low-lying clouds out there. Rain is falling. That line, again, closing in. So we'll just have to really keep an eye on these cameras here as this line continues to move in. So once again, producers, directors, if you see anything, just pop it up on screen. The wind is really picking up at our station. And you know what? We have a manager in here right now. if there's a tornado warning put into place for specifically northern Milwaukee County, we need to put it into place for our workplace as well. So something to be
It's a good
aware
point.
of.
We sometimes feel like we're in our own little magic media bubble here, but it is important to point out that we indeed do have our own severe weather protocol here at Fox 6. We know where our tornado shelters are. Hopefully you have followed our example and, of course, created your own tornado shelter and tornado plan. Today is a day that you need to use that. It's why all the planning took place. It's why we did the planning here in the building. I was just handed this by one of our managers. So yeah, we have some large tree damage going on right now. In fact, there's a large tree down just kind of west-northwest of Waukesha. It's about a 1.5 foot diameter. That is a large tree limb that is down, and I don't think this is the last that we're going to be hearing about significant storm damage. So again, if you are in any of the warning areas, even some of the severe thunderstorm warning areas, I want you to go to your safe space right now, because we are seeing a lot of these quickly jump to that tornado warning, and even straight line wind gusts can be very damaging. As we talked about earlier, that is the most interior room in your home away from windows, and you want to start thinking vertically as well. So if you can get into a stairwell, that's fantastic, because structurally in the vertical, a stairwell is very strong, very sturdy. It's built to hold extra weight. Exterior rooms, even bathrooms, sometimes might have something above, like another bathtub, that can cause problems if it comes down through the floorway. So a stairwell is your best spot on that lowest level. If you have a basement, great. If not, find that lowest level in the interior away from windows. And if you are in your safe space and you still have your cell phone, of course, you can continue to communicate and watch us and reach out to your friends and family who may not have that as well. All right, so we do have our velocity and wind speed map up here, and this is showing some of these strong winds across our area. We're getting a variety of warnings popping up across our different cell phones in the studio here, so if you're hearing some strange noises in the background, we apologize, but it is a very active situation. Now, Stephanie is just zooming in on this because, of course, right there, look at the intensity of that wind there. These bright yellows, these almost approaching white reflections here are indicating some very strong winds. Now, this is our Esterbrook camera. Look at this low cloud, Stephanie. This is incredible right now.
That's a great image.
Great shot. I'm just going to step out and let it kind of talk for itself.
And I'm going to zoom in on velocity a little bit more. Let's see. Greenfield, an area of concern right now. This is a telling sign right here. Again, this is our Esterbrook Tower Cam of this line moving into Milwaukee right now. Milwaukee County and area southward, you need to be in your safe space right now. That tornado warning is in effect, and it is not looking great in Milwaukee at the moment.
This is very dark, very low cloud, so something we'll continue to watch. We'll keep the camera rolling on this as well. And I was just talking to one of our news managers, and we have our own Brett Lemoyne, who is out in the Waukesha area right now. He's at the Waukesha Courthouse for today, and we're working on getting him on the air to see what he can provide as far as an actual on-the-ground, eyes-on situation. And look at how this is developing, even just as I'm talking, Stephanie.
Absolutely. In fact, let me go back to radar. Well, we can keep on this picture. I'm going to look at radar off screen, just get a better idea of how quickly the storm is moving into Milwaukee. Okay, going back to radar, awesome. We'll go back to that image as necessary.
This is the line right here, and of course the Esterbrook camera's right there, but it's looking toward the storm. And that line is showing that intensity right through Milwaukee County now, and then farther to the southeast corner of Waukesha County, and then continuing down into portions of western Racine. And this is the pocket we're focused on right now. You know, southern Ozaukee seems to be seeing some improvement. I do not want you to leave your safe spot just yet. Don't do that until we're definitely in the all clear in South Milwaukee County. But look at this, all of Milwaukee County now watching for this. Now, if you're watching us here in southeastern Milwaukee County, you're probably wondering what's going on. It's a little windy, it's a little bit of rain, but at the moment, not too bad. But this is the line that is moving very quickly. In about an hour, it moved from northwest of Dodge County, way off the map here, all the way down into Waukesha County, and it is continuing to move pretty briskly without really losing much in the way of step, if you will, or intensity. Stephanie, if you could bring back up the debris tracker.
Sure.
This is fascinating technology in a way, but it's also fairly basic technology, right? It's radar. Radar pings off of objects in the air and lets us know where rain is, where snow is, where hail is, right? And in this case, it's letting us know where debris may be flying. And wow, we are really getting a good signature right there. That has likely caught the eye of the National Weather Service. It certainly caught my eye immediately.
Yeah, just east of Greenfield now.
Right, so you're seeing this is what just kind of west of, what is that, 241 right there,
Correct.
and then just kind of east of Greenfield, that intersection right now, there appears to be quite a bit of debris in the air right at the moment as you get to that intersection. So that 41, what is that, 16, Steph? I need new glasses apparently, but this
36,
is
yeah.
definitely intense right here. You're seeing it, look at this. This is an
Right.
incredible
So this is
image.
about to pass over Loomis. Part of that is over 41 right now, and that's tracking east. So, next up is going to be that major 94-43.
Right. So you're a few minutes away from this. And again, if you are listening to us, sort of perhaps through the app or whatever case, or if you know your friend or family member is on the road in that area right now, you need to communicate to them, and I need to communicate to you that you do not want to stay on the road. Don't think you can outdrive this. All right. Trained storm tractors sometimes are challenged by outdriving severe weather, so don't try that. Find the nearest substantial shelter and get off the road. Get in from the outside and do be safe. We do not want to be reporting on any unnecessary injury, death, damage from this system that could be avoided by you simply taking the safe route, which is to get off the road, get inside, and find that safe spot. Now, I heard somebody whisper in my ear that we're going to go, here we go.
All right,
yeah,
that's
we're going to go
correct,
live.
yep.
Steph, look at how that cloud has developed.
Exactly. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is this pointing south now?
Our directors would know better than us. It's kind of hard to tell.
They would, yeah. Clearly, I mean, this line is moving through. The rain is very heavy. The latest from south.
It is.
Okay, thank you. And that rotation, I'm going to have you guys actually go back to our correlation coefficient because this is actually getting stronger. So let's see. Let's zoom in here. So this is what we're looking at for potential debris.
Look at that huge
From a
area.
tornado.
I mean, that is a giant stretch right there.
It is, in fact, what? I just got a message from our web director who is in this area. Okay, so I'm hearing a couple of things. Tornado sirens in downtown Milwaukee, as they should be going off. Cudahy, you're going to be in this next. Our web director, who I believe is in this area, Highway 241. Oh, 27.3. He's
Right.
just
We also have
explaining
reporter
something
Brett
to me.
Lemoyne, who has dialed in. We're going to try to talk to him very shortly. He was in Waukesha as this was coming through at the Waukesha County Courthouse, so we'll get in touch with him shortly. But Stephanie, tell us what we're looking at there.
This is passing right over 94 at the moment. Do we have any DOT cams in this area to look at? I know that might take a while, but once again, this is debris being lofted in the air by a likely tornado. And actually, an interesting fact, the reason why we can actually see a lot of debris right now, the National Weather Service is thinking it's a lot of the leaves coming off of the trees, which is helpful. But
if that's the case, then we're in good shape, but we're
Right.
not going to assume that right now.
Right, absolutely. But one of the reasons why it may be just a little bit clearer than normal. But regardless, okay, this is tracking off towards the east. So Cudahy, I mean, the airport, this is clearly a strong storm, a strong part of that line with a potential tornado that is going to be moving in your direction. But at the moment, it is over a major interstate. I know, Rob, that's really tricky if you're traveling or if you know anybody traveling, but
Obviously, yeah, get off the road to the
Right.
first substantial shelter that you can find. And National Weather Service, again, just chiming in that the Greenfield tornado that was observed there, they're estimating that should be toward the Cudahy area in the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Right, as we can tell here.
And that was like 3 minutes ago that was sent out, so we're now down to more like 8 to 12 minutes. But definitely
Here's
take
one
care.
of our. Here's
All
one of
right.
our DOT cams. It looks like this is Locust Street. Looking okay right now. But something to obviously watch as this line continues to move off towards the east. Here's that Estabrook Tower cam. Once again, you can see those low-lying clouds just moving very quickly. This line is moving very quickly as it continues to push eastward. And I'm hearing that we have our reporter Brett Lemoyne. If we want to check in with him real quick.
That's right. We have Brett. Brett, you are currently out in the Waukesha area at the courthouse. Can you tell us what you saw as this came through your area?
Yeah, well, just another bizarre day here in the Darrell Brooks trial. Rob and Stephanie have been covering the Darrell Brooks trial. We're at the Waukesha County Courthouse. About 11:30 this morning, sirens went off internally here in the building. As I look out into the hallway, all of the employees here at the courthouse are still on the basement level. taking shelter just as a precaution. But when this all went down, Daryl Brooks was cross-examining one of the witnesses on the stand. Judge Jennifer Doro interrupted him and immediately told everyone that they were breaking for lunch because of a tornado warning. So it's unclear how that's going to affect the trial for the rest of the day here, but certainly lots of precautions at the courthouse. I'm looking out the window right now, and it appears to be actually the skies look rather bright this hour.
I would imagine you've seen some
dark.
pretty rapid change. Not to interrupt you there, Brett. Thank you so much for your update, and we'll be touching back in with you, of course, if we get some more information. The great example of people being able to take precautions in a public space. And thank you very much, Brett, for joining us. I want to jump in here though, because Stephanie and I both just received a warning that tornado has been observed. I believe, if I read that correctly, Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, in Brown Deer, which of course is the home of the station. So that's Brown Deer around the county line.
Right.
So anyone within the sound of my voice in the Brown Deer area, if you haven't already, you definitely need to be taking your shelter. And that includes people in our own building. So
Correct.
Hopefully we have managers right now doing that. Only essential personnel should stay where they need to stay. We're very lucky that our weather office is located in a relatively safe spot so that we can continue to bring you the information that you need. But everybody else within our own building needs to now move to their tornado shelters so that we can maintain what we do here to keep you safe. Brown Deer, of course, as Steph was just pointing in there, the last spot of a tornado in the area. And look at the velocity report and the wind speed reports here. All of this bright yellow is 55, 65 miles an hour. And whether that's rotating or straight line, it is causing damage. And even as I look out the window, which is actually behind the camera that I'm looking at right now, I can see significant wind gusts ongoing. What you were saying before about the debris signature is pretty interesting, Stephanie, about the leaves causing some additional grief.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it's obviously a time of the year where leaves are falling off the trees anyway, but when we look at this, it is, just to put it plainly, it shows us where any type of debris could be lofted in the air by a tornado, and we know that the winds are certainly strong enough, but that could just be one of the reasons why it looks a little clearer on this product right now.
It's putting more things in the air, right?
Right, absolutely. As Rob mentioned, it's hopefully just leaves, but
right. I would rather you assume that it is much more significant than that. Flying debris is one of the most damaging things when it comes to, in particular, human health and safety when it's severe weather. It's an old saying, and it might sound a little trite, but it's not that the wind is blowing, it's what the wind is blowing, right? A strong wind, it's just wind, can be survivable, but a strong wind that is blowing 2x4s, construction material, tree limbs down is incredibly dangerous. Glass shards, that's why we tell you to get in away from windows. So.
And I'm going to push this south a little bit. Sorry to cut you off,
No,
Rob.
that's all right.
Because there is now another signature in parts of Racine County. In fact, places like Franksville, be on the lookout. It looks like that signature is west of you, but especially Yorkville, just off towards the east of you. Ives Grove, something to just be aware of. Even Caledonia,
Right.
I know you're supposed to north a bit more, but there are still other little pockets of potential rotation within this line.
Right, and whether these are little spin-ups within the more significant system, or whether this is simply straight line winds, creating a lot of debris. I mean, it's more common to see it with tornadic situations because, of course, it lifts that debris up into the air where the radar can catch it. But it's not unheard of for straight line winds to create that as well. What we tend to look for are these very bright patches here because leaves, unless you're getting a lot of leaves all at once, aren't going to give you those much brighter indicators here on the debris tracker that we are seeing right now. In fact, Steph, if you could zoom in on that southeast corner that we were talking about.
Right, because this is moving right over Cudahy now.
Right, and right on time as we were talking about the
South
tracking
Milwaukee.
there. And you see that there is definitely some debris being picked up. Let's hope that this is being enhanced by the fall leaves. That would be a wonderful story to be able to tell after this.
You can see, I mean, it looks like the strongest part just over College. That is a very well-traveled stretch of roadway.
Right.
Lake Drive, you can still see some brighter colors.
Just kind of east of the Oak Creek Parkway and getting right out to the lakeshore now. So the good news is, because of the speed of this, we are kind of starting to wind things down a little bit farther north and west. But Stephanie, if we go out to the bigger picture again, as you'll be able to show everyone, we still have a lot to go through before this settles down. Look at this debris signature popping up in the southern portion. That's okay. Look at the southern portion of this line here. look at that. And as you were saying earlier, Stephanie, that's the portion of the line that we tend to watch very closely.
We do. The southernmost part of the storm can sometimes produce these quick spin-ups. There's actually a term for it. But in particular, there have still been, central parts of this line that have been just as strong. But you've seen a lot of the tornado warnings in our southernmost counties, more so for the southern edge of this line. But there are still active tornado warnings. We've got southern Milwaukee County. I'll take radar off of here for you. Southern Milwaukee County, parts of Racine, as well as Kenosha County. So this line is still going strong, moving through our southern lakeshore communities. Looks like it's just past the Lake Geneva area, covering western and central parts of Racine County. And as far as Kenosha County goes, it's almost just moving into your western portions of your county. So, lakeshore community in Kenosha County, you may still have a little bit of time, but now is the time to act. As we have seen through the past hour, almost 2 hours, this has produced numerous little areas of rotation, numerous tornado touchdowns. Even if they're brief, they do still cause damage. So those under those tornado warnings, southern Milwaukee County, all of Racine, all of Kenosha County, stay in your safe spot until this is completely out of the area. Rob, if you can, let's actually focus in on this line and do a track for the rest of Racine and Kenosha County, just to give them an idea of how quickly this is actually moving. Again, now's the time to prepare because this is moving very quickly. We've got Caledonia on there within really the next couple of minutes. And remember, there was still that debris signature showing up just south of Caledonia. So take this line seriously. Kenosha, potentially just after about 1 o'clock. And then some areas towards the south. You can see Waukegan, Warren. But Antioch, kind of right on the border there. A little bit earlier, maybe closer to about 12:50. But all of Racine, Kenosha County, this will continue to track eastward, and it does still hold the potential to produce tornadoes, as well as at least 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, hail up to 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and it is under a warning for a reason. We have had numerous reports of tornadoes on the ground across parts of southeast Wisconsin. Here's a more specific track for you. Sommer is in there, about 12:53. Remember, this is pretty much at this point the strongest part of this line now, just west of Franksville or moving into Franksville in Racine County, closer to the Union Grove area as well. So anyone close to this area of, we'll just call her darker red, needs to be in your safe spot as this continues to push eastward. Now off towards the west too, this isn't going to be a quick thunderstorm and then you're done. You're still going to have a pretty soaking rain after this line makes its way through. So even be careful. Don't go outside right after your warning expires. Still stay in your safe spot because at the very least you're still going to be dealing with a very soaking rain and you don't know what type of damage you're going to be seeing as you head outside. This is kind of a cool view, more of like a 3D view looking at thunderstorm heights. The taller these storms get, it really indicates how strong they are. So this, does put it into perspective that these storms are still strong enough. They may not be the tallest storms we've ever seen.
In fact, I'm kind of surprised by
right, exactly.
the
Small
shallowness
but mighty.
of them.
Small but mighty, maybe. But again, it just goes to show that there is still enough within this line to produce these quick spin-up tornadoes, which we have seen for the past hour to 2 hours. But the strongest part of this line, again, now moving through Racine and Kenosha County. Here's our velocity scan. We look at this for how strong winds are, as well as if there is rotation within a thunderstorm. So right now, we're really just looking at all of these bright red colors, some of the bright specks of yellow indicating wind speeds over 50 miles per hour. Earlier, we were seeing wind gusts closer to 60 miles per hour. So Racine, as well as western Kenosha County, seeing it right now.
There you go. And I'm zooming in, trying to get zoomed in here on Paddock Lake.
Okay.
It's not popping up at the moment, but that's the general area.
Right.
Because National Weather Service expecting the next rotation to take place just north of Paddock Lake.
Okay.
And they say they're still looking like southwest Franksville is seeing some tornado debris signatures there, as we were just talking about, and getting lots of reports from the different area weather stations of 51 not mile per hour, but knots. So
oh, wow.
obviously stronger than that in the area. And it's just, again, from the National Weather Service here, just kind of reading this live, saying they're not going to issue new tornado warnings for southeastern portion of Milwaukee County yet, but not quite the all clear either. They're going to keep basically keep things on the ready, if you will. But that is the position here, and Steph, it's not surprising that this is the area that they're kind of watching for the next potential spin-up.
Right. At the very least, you can tell that the wind is going to be very strong as we stay on this velocity scan. Once again, those yellows indicating wind speeds likely over 50 miles per hour. But even though you can't see specific rotation on this velocity scan, once again, we've been watching very closely that correlation coefficient, the tornado debris signatures for the potential for actual debris being lofted in the air by a potential tornado. So Racine as well as western Kenosha County, you guys are in the thick of this right now. You already saw your neighbors towards the west, places like Lake Geneva, Whitewater dealt with this line. There were numerous tornado touchdowns from this line, especially north in parts of Waukesha County.
That's right. National Weather Service actually just sending out that they are getting more and more reports of actual visuals on the tornadoes from the past hour.
Okay.
They appreciate it. We appreciate it. It definitely helps us not only tell this story, but keep people safe as we tell it.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. So still keeping on these tornado warnings in parts of Racine as well as Kenosha County, southern Milwaukee County, taken out of your tornado warning. So that's some good news there. You can see severe thunderstorm warnings extending south of the border.
I think this is what they were talking about, the National Weather Service, where they said they weren't going to continue South Milwaukee County, but they are ready in case that does become necessary again. And they're not really sounding the all clear for South Milwaukee County yet either, Stephanie.
Absolutely. In fact, let's go ahead and put radar up real quick, and we can take a look at how this line is looking as it continues to move south. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely still over parts of southern Milwaukee County. Oak Creek, you're still seeing at the very least some very heavy rainfall. You know, I'm going to get caught up real quick with what the National Weather Service is saying.
In case you're wondering what it is, we're in contact continually live with the National Weather Service. They are our partners always when we communicate severe weather. And so when we're translating to you, this is kind of an internal conversation that it's a private, chat line essentially, where we're able to communicate to them, they're able to communicate to us, and it's a very effective way of letting you know what's going on, and of course helping us as well as helping the National Weather Service forecast and what we call nowcast these types of storms. Now, Stephanie's obviously zooming in on this portion right here, and this is the warning box that's still in place over portions of Racine and Kenosha County. Let me step out, seeing as Stephanie set this map up and there's something printing out. Maybe, Steph, you can step back in and kind of take a look at what's going on over there.
In fact, a new report for you, Cudahy, peak wind gust of 59 miles per hour.
In fact, at Mitchell International is the note below. So there you go. A lot of folks that talk about, severe weather not making it to the lakeshore. Cudahy is the lakeshore.
Right, absolutely. So once again, I mean, places like Oak Creek, southern Milwaukee County, you are still seeing this line moving through. It is just not as strong as what it was even just a short time ago. Still stay in your safe place until that storm has completely ended. What we're really focusing in on now is this area of the line passing through western Racine County on into western parts of Kenosha County. I hear we have the airport cam. Let's just look at it real quick with the fact that we just got that wind gust report. I mean, the camera is shaking. Rain is still very heavy. So clearly, even though your warning has expired, you are still dealing with a strong part of the storm. Soon it'll be out over Lake Michigan, but once again, for now, if you are near the airport, this is what you're dealing with. Stay inside until this storm has passed. Let's switch back over now. This is a look at velocity scans as well. In addition, pretty much for the past couple of hours, to the possibility of these tornadoes, the wind gust threat has still been huge.
So we just got a report from the National Weather Service, Elkhorn, a public report of a tornado just earlier this afternoon. So this is not a real-time report, but it was shortly after the noon hour. But that goes to what we were saying before about getting more reports of visuals and eyes on these tornadoes. So this one was in Walworth County at Elkhorn, but at 12:01.
Right, exactly. And I can't stress enough, if you are in an area where the line has already passed through, so maybe Elkhorn or parts of Waukesha County where there were reports of a tornado on the ground, don't go out and look at the damage. Still stay in your safe spot. Be very, very careful. You don't really know what you're going to encounter as you step out the door, so still just be very safe and if I were you, I would just stay put for a
Right.
while longer. But once again, parts of Racine, Kenosha County, and still southern parts of Milwaukee County dealing with these strong winds.
And now our director just jumping in my ear to let us know that we have some shots of a jackknife tractor trailer on the highway. We talked a lot about this earlier, about how challenging it is to drive in these kind of conditions. So obviously, this is a great example of why it's important to take care and immediately leave the roadway in a severe situation like this and find substantial structures. This obviously is a very dangerous situation with this jackknife tractor trailer. That's at 45 and Silver Spring Drive. It's an additional hazard, obviously, in addition to the rain, obviously the heavy rain on the road, the strong wind. You can see the camera shaking around. And then you've got drivers coming up to this jackknife tractor trailer wondering how to get around. You can see the emergency lights flashing and everybody trying to adjust. If you are in the path of this storm, take a break. Get off the highway. If you've got a friend, a family member who's usually heading home or heading out to a late lunch or whatever the case may be, this is the chance for you to communicate to them that they need to get off. Don't text them. We don't want them looking down, but give them a call if they've got the hands free and let them know it's time to get off the road, get away from areas like this, and just give it another, Stephanie, what, maybe 45 minutes, and we should be in the clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the strongest part of this line will be out over the lake. Just want to give you the latest. There are two main areas of concern right now as far as those tornado debris go. You can see it getting a little bit stronger just north and just west of Mount Pleasant. So that's going to be heading into Racine here shortly as this continues to track towards the east. And again, you can see that brighter color just east of Mount Pleasant too. So Mount Pleasant up to Racine and areas in between. Make sure you are in, once again, your safe spot and stay there. This line is not done just yet. And then another area via the National Weather Service in Kenosha County near Pleasant Prairie, not necessarily as put together as what we're seeing in Racine County, but just know there is still the possibility in and around the Pleasant Prairie area for rotation from this line.
And speaking of debris, just right off the printer here, we do have another report. West Dallas, trees down 68th and Harrison, and 65th and Cleveland Ave. That's kind of on the Milwaukee-West Dallas border, if you will. So some significant trees down there. And typically when you say trees down, it means uprooted. When we talk about limbs down, if portions of the tree are taken down, we talked about that earlier, but these appear to be significant trees down. It's 68th and Harrison, and again 65th and Cleveland. That's in West Dallas, so an indicator of how these winds have been damaging. And again, Steph, it kind of backs up that debris tracker is telling this story fairly accurately, despite the leaves causing some grief.
Right, absolutely. We're really getting ground truth as to the strength of this line as it continued to move through these areas.
Look at this bullseye right here.
Exactly. So still perking up a little bit in parts of Kenosha County as well as Racine County. So we're not quite done just yet. Still take this seriously if you are in these areas.
Now, the good news is we are starting to see some folks get the all clear. Now, we haven't quite 100% given that in portions of southeastern Milwaukee County, but certainly Ozaukee County, you're now out of that. The vast majority of Milwaukee County has seen the worst of this pass. But as Stephanie pointed out, you've still got a huge portion of Racine and Kenosha County that is under this warning, and this line is still proving to be very intense. We were just looking at that return on the radar, and look at the speed. This is a very short, was it a 1 hour loop, Stephanie?
Yes.
Yeah, so a 1 hour loop, and how quickly that moved across the map. It goes from southwestern portions of Waukesha County into central portions of Kenosha County in an hour. That line is just racing across the map and generating strong wind, large hail, and obviously creating quite a bit of damage. You may have heard the printer go off in the background with yet another report, and this one just happens to be numerous trees and branches down, and this one is northeast of Cudahy. So obviously right there by
Look
the
at
lakeshore.
that wind gust. Do you see the wind gust with that report? 73 miles per
Yes,
hour.
I see that now. 73 mile per hour wind gust, pretty significant. I think we have a camera to take as well for this, so we may go ahead and take that. That'll give us an idea. I think you said we have the airport camera, but I'm not sure. That would be a good one. Any of the cameras that we have live, there's a good one right there. Now that's actually gotten better, Steph.
It has gotten better. In fact, I think the strongest part of the line is now out of Milwaukee County. You're still dealing with rain. And let's switch over to our Estabrook cam as well. Let's see what it looks like from that view, which I would assume is probably looking south, I would say.
Look at those low clouds, the dark clouds there.
Very low cloud cover. This is still racing off towards the east. And I mean, really, most of the reports, Rob, that we're seeing right now our damage reports
Right.
as this line moved through. So
Was it 3-inch tree limbs taken down, power poles broken?
Darien, and so that's a little farther south in Walworth County. So all across the area as this
Right.
line moved through, this produced some damage.
Going back to our timeline here, and Stephanie, I'm going to try to bring up one of our smart WeatherNet cameras that's in the
Sure.
Kenosha area down at Carthage College. But, as you can see, we'll keep tracking that line. I'm somewhat concerned by that radar return that's just approaching 41 right now.
Right. In fact, you know what? Let's look at velocity scans real quick. Clearly, the wind is still very strong with this. And then we will go back to those debris signatures. Well, the good news is that you're not seeing a ton in Racine, maybe
Well, that's
close
good.
to Racine itself, but definitely weaker. And, there are still some signs in Kenosha County as, once again, kind of that stronger part of the line continues to move through.
It's interesting that we are
Parts
seeing
of the
quite a bit
area.
of that as you get toward the state line there, starting to get into
True, perking up
Lake
a little
County.
bit.
Look at that.
Yeah.
A lot of debris tracking going on there.
I mean, it really is a very helpful tool that we don't actually often use too much here in southeast Wisconsin.
No, that's very true, but it
getting
is
a
something
workout
that has been helping us quite a bit today, but it has been fascinating to watch how the leaves in this season are affecting it. And obviously, severe weather season is almost a 12-month situation for us here in southeastern Wisconsin, but the fall time has its own unique challenges, to be sure. So I have a couple of the cameras into the Kenosha County area. Guys, we want to go to the graphic 7 here. It creates quite the time lapse at the moment that we're rolling through. We'll be able to bring that up for you shortly. And of course, we
There you
do
go.
have numerous cameras there. That's actually not looking too bad right now. I'm disheartened to see someone out walking the dog. That is not a good time to be doing that outside of the Civil War Museum as this line of storms rolls in. Sheboygan obviously looking a little bit better there. And there's Carthage College. Doesn't look too bad by that picture. Now, these aren't live cameras, so you can't see the trees moving, but you can almost see in the bend there of the tree that it was a challenging situation. So we'll keep an eye on that and run some of those time lapses a few times to see if we can catch anything.
Right, and let's go over those warnings again. So we do still have a tornado warning ongoing for parts of Racine, really far eastern Racine County, down into parts of Kenosha County as the main part of this line. This is the southernmost part of this line. We are almost out of it. Moves through Racine as well as Kenosha County, but there is still a tornado threat going forward as this continues to push on through. Rob, if you could remind me when those warnings expire.
Right.
My guess is shortly after 1 o'clock.
Right, yeah, we're just coming up to that now, so it's about 4 minutes to 1, so we're getting close to the expiry of that. Now,
Right.
the last I got was that they will be expiring on time, so
Okay.
that's good.
Great. So, I mean, really, we just have a short time longer, but make sure you are hunkering down if you are in Racine and Kenosha County. Stay in your safe spot.
National
really,
Weather Service, in fact, Steph, didn't mean to interrupt you here, but
No, go ahead.
saying that the terminal Doppler that's one at the airport is actually really picking up on these two rotations in Kenosha County right
Okay.
now. One by Summers, the other one on the west side of Kenosha. So let me see if I can zoom in on
Okay.
that.
So, I mean, certainly in this area. In fact, they probably just issued.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we have a
just
tornado
a new
warning.
warning box for eastern Kenosha County, likely with this area up in here.
There's Summers right there.
Summers. So we definitely have some rotation in that area, and that will continue to track eastward too. So that's really northern Kenosha County or northeastern Kenosha County as that moves in.
All right, let me clear that beeping in the background there. And just a report from Milwaukee County of some damage now, too, ripping up some shingles off of home in Milwaukee County, and a 1-inch tree limbs taken down there as well.
Okay, so this is still a very powerful line of storms. In addition to that tornado potential, there is still the potential for wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour, which we just saw near Cudahy earlier as this line moved through. There was a reported wind gust of 73 miles per hour. That will still do some damage. And then in addition, there is still a hail threat too. We could see some larger hail up to about 3/4 of an inch. Now this will continue to track east-southeast here, this entire line from southern Racine County on into Kenosha County. Strongest part, again, where you're seeing some of these darker reds near Summers and north central parts of, really northeastern parts of Kenosha County. And there is still that area in southern Racine County, just east of Sturtevant, that's likely still at least producing some strong wind. But if you are in eastern Kenosha County, especially near or east of Summers, make sure you are in your safe spot. The lowest part of your home, basement is ideal, away away from any windows. If you don't have a basement, the innermost part of your main level. And I know some think immediately bathroom. Sometimes bathrooms still have windows. So if there's a closet, if there's a stairwell, that would actually be a little bit better than your bathroom. But stay hunkered down as this line that could produce tornadoes, that has produced tornadoes, that have touched down for at least a short amount of time, continues to move on through.
And Steph, we were talking earlier, the National Weather Service, about what they call the terminal radar. So I've added that now to our
Awesome.
sweeping radar. And that's that little dome that you see just underneath the radar label there. And that is really picking up on this line in real time and showing
Right.
some really challenging situations.
Right, really, and still showing it pretty strong, again, in southern Racine County, but especially in northeastern parts of Kenosha County down into south central parts of that county. So Kenosha itself, soon this is going to be moving in. We do still have those 2 tornado warnings in effect for just a short time longer. Pretty soon this line's going to be out over the lake, but until then, once again, stay in that safe spot.
Right, and this is something, of course, that we have reviewed before, but you want to find that interior room away from those windows because, as we talked about, there is anything blowing, that debris signature that we're talking about is what we're looking at glass, whether it's maybe it's leaves, if we're lucky it's leaves,
Right.
but maybe it's 1-inch tree limbs. Now look, Seth, they just updated it here to make this a severe thunderstorm warning and then kind of shrunk down the tornado warning.
Right, so we do still have that 1 tornado warning that was issued just a short time
Right,
ago for
through
eastern
1:15.
Kenosha until 1:15, so it's 1 o'clock right now. But still, even though the tornado warning was lifted for Racine and other parts of Kenosha County, you are still under that severe thunderstorm warning for those wind gust threats as well as the hail threat and heavy rain
Right.
as well.
All right, so I'm going to switch back over to that terminal radar stuff. And again, this is starting to look a little bit better. You can see that the folks up at the National Weather Service are, starting to breathe again, which is a good indicator that we're getting toward the end of this. But I definitely want to caution anybody in that southeastern corner of Kenosha County and the far southeastern corner of Racine County, even though you're not technically under the warning, this area is still under that warning. And this is a line that is still producing some very strong wind. Now, out ahead of it by just a little bit, it's not all that bad. We saw that live camera right down to the Civil War Museum. It didn't look like a bad day, and unfortunately the gentleman walking his dog there thought it was just fine. It's not. Don't go out right now. Wait till this line passes. I think we've got maybe another 15 minutes left for this line to clear our area. It'll be out over the lake, and then we can kind of go back and do the forensics, if you will, on what happened with this line of storms as it came through our region, and definitely kept us very busy for the last, we've been on the air since about 11:30. So yeah, it's been a good long stretch. I want to give a huge shout out to the incredible work that meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello has been doing, and of course all of our behind the scenes folks here, even having to take shelter within the building at one point. Now, Stephanie, that warning goes till about 1:15. We are starting to see some improvement with this. Last I heard from the National Weather Service, the rotation at Summers should be out over the lake almost immediately.
Correct. And, it's always somewhat of a good sign when you start to see marine warnings put into place, because that's our sign that this is just about over the lake. So we're getting there. But still, obviously, within that tornado warning, you still got to stay in that safe spot. No, I mean, no reports right now, which is fantastic. But even just off towards the west a short time ago, there was still rotation. On
And as we've
radar.
seen, this happens so quickly. There's nothing saying that this, in that last, maybe 20 miles or so before it gets out over the lake in the far southwest portion of this line, not even probably, more like 10 or 15. It could easily intensify briefly before it gets out over the lake and starts to leave us alone. Farther up to the north and west, there's still some rain coming down, and we're still seeing some wind and things like that. So it's going to take a while to completely ease up, although we are seeing drier conditions farther west. The 2 sweeps that you're seeing there, this is the National Weather Service in Sullivan. That's the main sweep. And then this is that terminal radar, which is the one at the airport, of course, swinging around the terminal radar, spinning around there, giving us that really good idea of what's been happening. And Stephanie, you've been using this debris tracker. How's that look?
Yeah, let's take a look at that, because that is what we have been watching pretty much from the start. What prompted, and I'll go back and give you guys an idea, what prompted that first warning earlier this morning, I guess, or really just a short time ago, was this debris signature that showed up on what we call well, the fancy term is correlation coefficient, but it's essentially just a debris tracker. So south of Watertown, there was debris showing up on this product, and that is what we have primarily been watching as I loop this for you the past couple of hours, as that has really been our indicator as this line moved through, that there was clear tornado potential with this very strong line. You can, again, as this is looped, just see those little here or there. So, I mean, these were likely very quick touchdowns, but this is a tool that has been very helpful this afternoon. And right now, it does actually look okay, even in those southern communities.
Which is good to see. But yes, an incredible tool that we've been using here at Fox 6 to keep you up to speed and, of course, help us forecast the situation. And a lot of this is proving to be true now that we're getting some storm reports in. People that are in the all clear are able to kind of assess what's happened. And this one just came in from Darien, which is over in Walworth County, very close to where Stephanie was just pointing out on the debris tracker. They're saying a 3-inch tree limb's taken down. That's a sizable tree limb. And some power poles broken. It's an interesting phrase there, power poles broken. I don't know if that means that the actual pole itself has been damaged or whether the lines are down, but either way, obviously some folks are without power, and continuing to see reports of confirmations of these funnels and tornadoes that actually were in contact with the ground. So now we still have this warning until 1:15, so we're about 10 minutes out. Wouldn't surprise me if this possibly ended a little early, as we're not really seeing any further intensification. If anything, Stephanie, I feel like it's kind of stepped back just a little, but I don't want to be overly optimistic.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree. You can always tell, even just simply put, when you're seeing some of the colors going from red to oranges to yellows, that's even just the tiniest sign that there is some weakening. And so that's some good news. Now I'm checking in with We Energies right now. It looked like there are over 22,000 without power at the moment. So there are quite a few dealing with power outages across southeast Wisconsin. Not a surprise, as this line moved through and produced, winds over 60, even over 70 miles per hour. So just a heads up there, and we'll keep on that throughout the rest of the evening. But back to radar, once again, we have that last tornado warning set to expire around 1:15.
About 9 minutes left. And we do still have that camera down at the Civil War Museum. If we can go to graphic 7, guys, so we can bring that up, part of our smart weather net. Again, these are still cameras that only update every minute or so, but you can see how much it has changed from the last time we checked in with that situation. And if we look at the time lapse, look at how beautiful it was earlier today, and then how quickly that changed as the system started to make its way in. You can see the trees kind of shaking as the wind gusts pick up, and then in the last few frames the rain starts to fall,
right,
and of course the visibility drops right off.
Absolutely. So obviously the rain is moving through at the moment. You are still under that tornado warning, Kenosha, so stay in your safe spot. I just want to zoom this out a little bit. If we can be thankful, it's the fact that, this is what's left of this very powerful line that really didn't look like much on radar, but did it pack a punch? Mm-hmm. It absolutely did. And just to show you the bigger picture, there is still rain falling across the rest of southeast Wisconsin, but once this is actually out of here, look at this break off towards the west.
This is where we want to get to. We want to get into this clear. Then we'll be able to, Steph will be able to finish eating her pizza that she almost started before during her lunch break, but has not been able to finish. And we can kind of get out there and assess the damage and the situation. As things kind of wind down, of course, the National Weather Service will be sending crews out to really to dig into what happened today and to kind of investigate this line, because every time we have a severe outbreak like this, of course, there is a lesson to be learned, and it just furthers the science that we are all, so involved with directly. And I want to thank you for being great, members of that in a way, because of course you provide us with these reports. Look at all the storm reports, like Steph was reading my mind there, and brought up the storm report map, and you can see numerous tornado funnel cloud reports popping up. Look at all of the damage reports and these wind gust reports. Once we start to actually have a lot more folks in the all clear step out and kind of assess the situation, I'm sure this map will be covered by tomorrow morning, Stephanie.
Absolutely. This is just what we're getting in, initially and over the past couple of hours. So when it is safe, just be careful as you are stepping out your door. If you are in one of these locations that there was a reported tornado on the ground or a funnel cloud or anything like that, you don't know what you will encounter. Always steer clear of power lines. Never drive into flooded water, although I don't think that's really going to be the issue today.
It doesn't seem like we have had a ton of rain with this. Obviously, the rain complicates the issue, particularly for drivers that are going to, drive through this. But when I brought up the accumulated precip map earlier, again, that's a radar-derived estimate, but still, it didn't look like we had massive rainfall because this was moving through so quickly. But we did get some pretty good reports there of a more moderate rainfall event as these storms rolled through. And obviously, there's some problems with that, particularly if you have roof damage and now you've got rain coming through. All headaches that we're going to have to deal with over the next 24 hours or more. So we are kind of winding down here. We are into the last about 5 or 6 minutes. Of course, Stephanie and I will continue to be on the air with you until we are at the complete end of that situation. We won't be off the air until they finally expire or cancel this final warning.
Right, one more warning to go, Eastern Kenosha County. Let's change it over to radar. And yeah, Rob, it does still look like this is weakening a little bit, but it's still
Always
present across southern Kenosha County. It looks like the strongest part now, again, south of Kenosha itself, still under that tornado warning for about 5-6 more minutes. At the very least, you're still seeing some heavier pockets of rain, some stronger wind gusts, maybe some hail, although hail hasn't been a huge report that we've seen as this line moves
Most
through.
of it's been less than 3/4 inch, but
Which
around
is
that.
great, which is great news, but still a possibility. But again, this will continue to move out over the lake. You're still going to get in on some rainfall,